Very much for being here. The World Ag Expo. This is the largest Ag Expo in the world right here in Tulare County. And I think a few things show why that's the case. I mean, you'll have thousands of volunteers that have done this for years and decades. But what I want to show you this year is really what comes down to, and I made this comment a little earlier. When tillage begins, other arts flow. Therefore, the farmer is the founder of human civilization. Daniel Webster said this as a senator. And the importance of farming. It was the #1 occupation in the creation of this nation. But they became so successful, instead of farming and feeding 4, the average farmer today feeds about 166. But the challenge is to continue this way of life, to pass it on to the next generation, is difficult. Inflation. The cost of farming. Energy costs continue to rise, but the ability to have water. Now today it's kind of covered, but these covered mountains behind me are snowpacked. That's a good year for the valley. This is the best place in the world, the most fertile land that you can have, that we can feed the world here. The challenge is, when the snow melts, was the storage there to keep the water? As the water comes down through the delta, does it go out to the ocean, or does it come to the Central Valley and Southern California for the population and actually for the land itself so we can grow? The struggles of what we had is not the struggles of human nature. It's actually the struggles of government from Sacramento and Washington. They won't make the investment in storage, but talk a big game. Where Gavin Newsom will pick fish over people and the allowing of the pumping of the water to come down. Today we have a bipartisan group of 10 members of Congress, starting from the chairman of the committee, G.T. Thompson from Pennsylvania, David Valadeo, who serves with me in this valley and is a farmer and a dairy farmer himself. He knows the struggles. But we have a number from Tennessee, from North Carolina, from California, on both sides of the aisle. Because once every 5 years, Congress takes up the Farm Bill. So we're not here to tell people what needs to be in it. We're here to listen. So a little later today, we'll have a town hall meeting where we sit to listen to the ag leaders in the world to talk to us about the challenges. We know we need to lower the energy cost. We need to stop the inflation growth that this administration has created. We need to make the investments for the next generation of farmers, because the food safety is very important, not just to America, but to the world. And we've watched that time and again. So today is a day of celebration. We watched the Sound of Freedom fly over from Lemoore, F-18 and F-35. We watched family generations who volunteer here time and again. We've watched the taking the tradition of the past but apply it to the changing future. Well, technology could help us keep up and be the leader in agriculture around the world. That's what this expo will be about, and also about how Congress can serve better. Instead of asking them to come to Washington, in this new Congress, I wanted to make sure Washington comes to them, where we listen to them, because they are the farmers that make this America continue to grow and feed the world. So with that, I want to bring up the chairman of the Ag Committee, G.T. Thompson from Pennsylvania. G.T.?
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
I'll get closer.
Good morning, everybody. What a privilege to be in Tulare. It's a privilege to be here at the World Agriculture Expo. There's nobody that does it better than the American farmer. The American agriculture can be defined simply by 3 words: science, technology, and innovation. And as I look over my shoulder and you look past my shoulder, that's what you see on display here today. We're looking at starting with those award recipients during this opening ceremony. And they were not just from California, though California is a great agriculture state. There was one there from Pennsylvania, one there from Israel. Those types of advancement happen every day. And as a result of those advancements, American agriculture productivity has increased 287% since the 1940s. Now, it slipped a little bit with this inflation to 279. But, with the Speaker's support, with the Agriculture Committee, with the House, we're going to working on this farm bill. We're going to put policies in place where we can take that to a 400% increase by the year 2035. That's our vision, that's our goal. And a lot of that starts on these grounds with these great technology that you see here today. So I'm just really proud to be here in the Valley with a lot of good friends, and looking forward to a great day at the Ag Expo.
David Valadale?
Yep. Well, good morning, everyone. First, I want to say thank you to the speaker for making the time to come to the farm show. This is something that, well, now the World Ag Expo. I grew up coming here, and it's still the farm show to me, but it's the World Ag Expo officially. I'd really like to thank my colleagues, especially the chairman, for making the trip across the country, Rouser for coming across the country, Rose for coming almost across the country for this. I mean, you see behind us what's going on here. Farmers come here to learn about the newest technology and the newest things affecting their industry, and so it makes sense that Congress would come here to learn from the farmers as well and from the folks who are advancing the technology, advancing the industry. And the most important thing is ensuring a stable food supply. When we look at agriculture, making sure that we produce food here in the United States and produce it safe, healthy, and abundantly so that we can continue to be a secure nation is important. And right here in the Central Valley, this is the breadbasket of the world. We grow almost everything you can think of here in the valley, from obviously cows and the dairy industry where I'm really close to, but everything from tree nuts to table grapes to garlic to tomatoes. So there's a lot here to learn about, and the fact that we've got this group of members here to be able to learn from the agriculture industry here in the valley is huge. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for being here. And next we've got Congressman LaMalfa, my good friend from Northern California.
And a rice farmer.
Good morning. It's really great to be here at Tulare with all my colleagues and friends here. I'm really glad our Ag Committee Chairman, G.T. Thompson, can travel and be out here with us. And I'm really, really excited that our speaker, though still from California, comes from Bakersfield instead of San Francisco. We don't have to explain all this stuff to him. It's already innate to Kevin. So we're going to do well in this with this lineup here. Also, my new colleague, John Duarte, from just up the road here, he's going to bring a wealth of experience firsthand of what government does to you instead of for you in agriculture sometimes. My battle up there is I'm a rice farmer. Our family's been there nearly 90 years in the Butte County area. And it boils down to the water issue. You know, my backyard, we've done okay, but on the other side of the Sacramento Valley, the first year I can ever remember they didn't have any water. And I know that's been happening to you folks down here a lot for a lot of years. And so it's all a matter of taking advantage of what we have. We have an amazing resource in this state with the water supply, even in drought years. And yet we're watching it all be flushed out to the ocean. So much, 95%, hundreds of thousands of acre feet. They weren't even running the Delta pumps at full capacity when there's so much water going out. So I'm hoping we can get San Luis Reservoir filled down this way to help the folks in the southern part of the state. Because we're all in this thing together. It's not southern versus north. It's really us versus government and the mismanagement of our resources, whether it's water here. I also sit as the chairman of the Ag Committee Forestry Subcommittee, and looking forward to doing a lot of great work there so our forests aren't just burning year after year. My wife, we take our kids down to Hume Lake there, we notice how many dead trees there is in that standing forest out there. California, most of it is a tinderbox. So we're going to do a lot of great work. We have to get our farm bill done this year. We're kind of behind because it hasn't been a strong focus, unfortunately, under previous regime. But we are indeed focused on bringing food back to be the top priority Ag Committee and keeping it on Americans' table, affordable, high quality, not imported, and grown in California. So I'm really pleased to be here. I'm going to turn it over to my new friend, Congressman Duarte, and let him take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Welcome and thank you for coming out today. It is an absolute honor to have our Speaker of the House from the Valley, Kevin McCarthy, here with us, G.T. Thompson, our Ag Committee Chair, and I couldn't be more honored to serve with him. Take a look around you. Some would say a wise creator put the largest watershed in the world right off the coast of the largest precipitation bank in the world, the Pacific Ocean. And below those beautiful resources lies the biggest, most fertile valley in the world, right here in the San Joaquin Valley. And look what sprung up. the agricultural innovation center of the world, right here in the San Joaquin Valley. The breadbasket, the fruit bowl, the salad bowl of the world, right here, right here. Don't let our water woes be contextualized as fish versus humans. The data's in. We've depleted our aquifers. We've destroyed our farms. We've left America hungry without out of control inflation. The fish are dead. The Delta smelt are dead. The data's in. The salmon haven't recovered for all our efforts. But we've destroyed abundance. We've destroyed affordability. We've destroyed hundreds of thousands of acres of irrigated landscapes throughout California, urban and rural. We've caused record levels of pediatric respiratory health issues in the South Valley as we've caused a dust bowl. The water woes of California today are not the cause of an imbalance of fish versus humans. They are the cause of an anti-human environmental establishment that will push working families to the edge of privation, destroy abundance, destroy affordability, and that is the story I hope you will take back to the public, because it's a story they need to understand. We're not drilling American oil, we're not getting water on the farms, we're not controlling the high cost of living, and we are hurting working families throughout the valley and throughout America. And that's why I ran for Congress. It's very simple. We are going to restore abundance, and we're going to restore affordability, and we're going to establish a pro-human governance of America. Thank you very much. I would like to now introduce my good friend, Congressman Rose.
Come on up, sir.
Good morning. You know, every day American farmers, ranchers, and foresters work hard, often from dawn until dusk. And the fruits of their labors is the most affordable, abundant, safest supply of food and fiber in the history of the world. We're here today to hear from the farmers right here in the Central Valley about the issues that they face as they try to go about their business of producing that bounty of food and fiber that feed us all in much of the world. I'm heartened to hear this morning already, meeting with a few of the farmers here, that just like back in Middle Tennessee, farming in the Central Valley is a family business. And I am proud, as an 8th generation farmer in Tennessee and a former commissioner of agriculture in my state, to be here with two great leaders, Speaker McCarthy and Chairman G.T. Thompson, to find out how we continue this great American tradition of producing this bounty for ourselves and for the world. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's my now pleasure to introduce Congressman David Rouser.
Thank you, John.
Yay.
Well, it's great to be here with you. My name is David Rouser. I represent southeastern North Carolina. I'm from Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina, which, Mr. Speaker, is about as far east as you can get from here. In fact, I'm not a whiz at geography, but I believe if you draw a straight line from here, you'd wind up right at my house. If I looked at it correctly this morning. So it's a great pleasure and honor to be here. Really great honor to be with the Speaker, who I might add, not only represents his district exceptionally well, fights for it day in and day out, but he fights for American agriculture. Agriculture, and the reason why I'm here for this Farm Bill listening session, without agriculture, we don't have food security. Without our American farmers, we don't have food security. If you don't have food security, you don't have very good national security. So this is really important from not only a domestic standpoint in terms of feeding and clothing Americans, but also feeding and clothing the world. And one other thing I want to add that hasn't been brought up, but I think is important. I've never been to an agriculture meeting or event where they didn't start with an opening prayer.
Mm-hmm.
The pastor inside earlier today at the opening ceremony had an incredible prayer. And you know, I think the moral and spiritual principles that made this country great, we should be reminded of those each and every day. And the agriculture family, I don't know of a family anywhere, broadly speaking, any industry anywhere that does more in terms of restoring and building the moral and spiritual principles that this country was founded on and that make it so great. One other quick thing, I serve on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee as well. A lot of our farm families around the country are very worried about the new WOTUS rule, Waters of the United States, that was recently promulgated by this administration. In the subcommittee that I have the honor of chairing, the Water and Environment Subcommittee, we're going to be passing a CRA to repeal that Wilgus rule, and we'll have that off the House floor probably in the coming weeks and coming months. So that's really important for farm families all around the country, and I think an important point for you all to note. With that, I'll turn it back to the speaker.
You know, the biggest optimists in the world are farmers. They believe tomorrow is always going to be better than today. And here we are in California with a great opportunity. But at times it seems that government becomes the obstacle. The mountains are packed with snow, so you'd think water could be here. You think they'd plan ahead to store for in those drought years. We watch government's action to make the price of energy even higher, or inflation to continue to grow. But the farmer continues to plant. So our task and our job here is to bring members of Congress to listen to them. So yes, we can make America energy independent again. We can provide the storage so we can store the water in the wet years. So we can provide the resources to be able to plant, to have the food for the future that's safe and secure. And yes, we can lower the price of inflation so we can make sure the family can actually afford the food. We watch today the struggles of families. Eggs used to be just cheap protein. Now it becomes almost a delicacy. We watch the price of milk rise and others. We want to make sure food is abundant, affordable, and that the farmer is there for the next generation to hand it off. That's our quest and goal today. With that, we can take some questions or comments. Yes, ma'am.
What must be done in order to have some sort of immigration reform happening this year?
The first has to be done. You have to secure the border before you have any immigration reform. What's happened in this administration by opening up our borders has broken down society. We've watched that just in the short time frame of this year, the number of people that have been caught that are on the terrorist watch list is greater than the entire time of the last administration. We've watched that it breaks down society where America's the most giving when it comes to immigration. More than 1 million people a year become American citizens, and we want to continue that because that's how all of us got here. But the idea that you're cutting in line, the idea of just breaking down society is going to hurt us. So the first thing we have to do is secure our borders, and this administration has broken that. So once we're able to secure it, I think we can move forward with immigration reform.
Will you move a farm bill this year and will it have Democratic support?
Yes, yes. GT, you want to verify that? He asked if we're going to move a farm bill this year and have Democrat support as well. I said yes.
Yes and yes.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Speaker, SNAP or CalFresh as it is here is a big part of the Farm Bill. A few House Republicans have proposed placing work requirements for SNAP beneficiaries. Is that something that you would be open to, reforming SNAP in this new Farm Bill? I'd love to hear from both of you.
Yeah. Want to take it first?
Well, one of the things, maybe we all suffer from this condition when we're first elected. In fact, in any new job, you don't know what you don't know. The fact is, for decades, we've had employment and career and technical education component to the SNAP benefits. And I think it's under Title IV, which is the SNAP title, and I think it's a wonderful part because, you know, people that need the nutritional assistance that we make available through SNAP, not just SNAP, but quite frankly, support for food banks and food pantries and fresh fruits and vegetables. What they need, probably even more, and we're going to work hard to make sure they have the nutrition assistance, but they need a hand up. They need to be able to grasp a rung on a ladder of opportunity. And that's where the employment and career and technical education component of the SNAP program is. And so it's already there. And we want to make sure it's working for Americans and American families so that they can find opportunity. And that's only comes when we can get them into a position where they're no longer dependent on the government and in financial distress. There are more jobs open and available today than probably any time in history. So we've really proud of the Farm Bill and specifically all parts of it, all titles. But Title IV of the SNAP does a great job of serving American people. Now we need to make sure that we're doing it with looking at program integrity. We need to make sure that we're using innovation and flexibility. There's two other principles that we do. We need to, make sure that we're moving people towards independence and, quite frankly, encouraging people to eat in a healthy way. Those are the four principles that will guide us under the Title IV, the nutrition title.
And the thing I always look at is continual improvement. So you only bring the Farm Bill up once every 5 years. So you got work requirements in there. You want to look, are they working? How do you help people to be able to get the job, to be able to move upward? We've watched time and again in American history when those have applied, even in welfare reform and others, it benefit people. It put more people to work. It put less people on welfare as well. And people want to have help. We want to provide that. Yes.
Trade. It's an important component to ag, but doesn't seem as though the administration has much of a focus on trade right now. What do you see?
I know. I see this administration not a focus on trade, but almost focus on challenges to harm our farmer, picking one form of energy over another and raising raising the cost of energy on all Americans. I've watched them, their wild spending bring inflation and others, which makes more challenges. What we want to have is we want to have fair trade. America's opened up our shelves for competition. Other countries should open up their shelves so our products can go over there. I believe if you have a fair agreement, America will always win. Our farmers are innovative. The quality of our product is better. The competition would be healthy, but these other countries need to open up their shelves as well to our products, and that's what this administration needs to focus on, but that's what this Congress will do, to open up that we have fair trade in other countries as well. Yes, sir.
What about specialty crops? The crop bill,
Very
the
important.
Farm Bill is tends to be program crops. What about the specialty crop farmers?
Well, we have MAP and a lot. You want to touch a little on this?
Sure.
Specialty crops are very important, especially to this valley. It's always value added of what we make here, but you look with the MAP program and others, there's a great deal within the Farm Bill.
Well, since the speaker and I come in a term after the speaker, one of my best friends when I first came into Congress. Since we came in, we've done the 2014 Farm Bill, we've done the 2018 Farm Bill. And they've been good farm bills for specialty crops, and this really is like the specialty crop epicenter of the world. It is amazing the number of crops that are grown here and the different purposes, not just food. And so we've done, I think, a good job in 14 and 18, and we're going to continue to recognize the value of and the importance of specialty crops as we look at, some of the things in the different titles, whether it be certainly research is incredibly important, risk management, crop insurance, very important. So no, we're not going to forget the valley. Speaker's not going to let me do that when it comes to specialty crops. A very important part of our agriculture commodities.
And look, in the valley, specialty crops are most important. So when you look at the Farm Bill, the funding to make sure you take care of disease that can wipe out products as well, the ability to open up more trade, the ability to match funding that farmers provide to advertise opening up as well. I think all this, and research and development. This is what always keeps us ahead. And when you think of agriculture, maybe one of our first industries, but it's ever changing. That research and development changes what the future holds and also makes America competitive around the world. Think about what we grow here, our grapes, our nuts, and others. We're abundant in that. We could feed everybody in America, but this is the products that those around the world crave the most. And that's what's very helpful. So the more barriers we knock down, the ability to knock down any future diseases, the research and development that we found, even that's gone further into grapes and others, has provided a great deal for this valley. And just as we look at constant improvement, we'll look at areas that specialty crops need. And that's why, if you think of anything, look at the number of members who are here, who come from different parts of America and different style of ag, but they're here at this farm show, not to tell people what will be in the ag bill, but to listen what needs to be in the farm bill. That tells you much about what specialty crops will get. Yes, ma'am.
Speaker McCarthy, Workforce Modernization Act got stuck and failed to pass into the Senate during the lame duck session. Is there any talk about including that into the farm bill or any status on it passing this year?
You want to take up anything?
Sure. Well, obviously, agricultural workforce is really important. It is not, though, unfortunately, under the jurisdiction of the Agriculture Committee. That is, it's under the Judiciary Committee. Farmers do need certainty. They need certainty in the workforce. Without certainty in workforce, you have food insecurity. Without food insecurity, you have national insecurity. And so we certainly, the Agriculture Committee members, have a vested interest. Now, I agree with the speaker. We've got to make sure, we've got to stop close it. We got to close the border. We need to control the border. Probably the better word. And we don't have that right now. And as those efforts go on, I know the Agriculture Committee members of the Agriculture Committee are very interested in seeing what's next. When the timing's right, what can we do for the American farmer and rancher and forester and quite frankly processors, because you can't have production without processing. to get access to the workforce that we need, whether it's domestic or foreign workforce.
So is there any talk about it being included?
It wouldn't include in the Farm Bill, but it's always a capability. We'll have the discussion. Look, later this week on Thursday, I'll be in Tucson, Arizona, taking a number of freshman members to try to solve this problem, to secure our border. Once we get the border solved, we can move forward there. Don, last question.
Yeah, it's a water question. How many of you are familiar with the water blueprint for the San Joaquin? And if so, is there something that can be done on the federal level, perhaps from the Bureau or?
Look, there are a number of things we can do, and this will probably be the number one topic a number of these members know a lot about, but I'm going to call David Valadeo up because I want to say this. In, was it 2016 when we were able to work with Feinstein? Look, we've done a number of different pieces of legislation. So when this year would come, when the snowpack was on the mountains, we could be able to store this water for future years. David's been a leader in this. We got Dianne Feinstein to join with us. One of the first times in more than a quarter of a century was water legislation able to pass. We were able to get a new biological opinion so we could pump. You know the only struggles that stopped us, even though they changed the federal government, was Gavin Newsom. So here we are in a moment of time that we're abundant in water, that we know drought will come again. But will we be prepared for it? No, based upon him fighting when Republicans and Democrats actually came together to be able to plan for a future. And one of the major leaders in that has been David Valadeo, so I want to give him an opportunity to answer this as well.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, I mean, this is kind of the coolest part about this whole deal. I've brought speakers in the past to the Valley to talk about water, to talk about ag, but Devin lives here too, and so he's been a part of this fight for a number of years. And I think the only bill that you're a co-sponsor of in Congress right now is my water bill.
Exactly.
So he's very much focused on this, and I'm pretty excited to have his support on that bill. But specific to your question, yeah, I met with some of the guys last week. I spent a couple hours with them on Saturday to look over some of the proposals. I think there's some really good ideas out there, but they've got to spend a little more time getting more members familiar with it, not just myself. But there's some great ideas on how we can move water through the Delta safely and in an environmentally friendly way that I think can function. But it's got to play out a little bit, and I think there's some research opportunities that they're going to ask for. But once we have a formal request, we'll move forward on that.
Look,
Thanks.
we have to solve the Delta. Water has to be able to flow through it. People have to come together. Otherwise, we watch it just go to the ocean, get wasted in the process. And we know where the population is. We know where the ag farm is. We can make this happen. We just need people to come together. I appreciate people bringing ideas up. I appreciate the leadership of David Valadeo. I appreciate these members who come from North Carolina, Tennessee, Pennsylvania. But they're lawmakers, they're policy makers. They need to understand this issue. And instead of sit back in Washington and have somebody tell them, they're here on the forefront to actually see it firsthand. That means better policy will come to fruition. And this is really the issue for the next 100 years for California. We need to get this right, and we need to get it done. I thank you all for being a part of the Ag Show. I thank you for being a part of this press conference, and I look forward to, hopefully you'll be down there as we sit and listen to the ag leaders give us their ideas for a future, and that we continue to improve as we move forward on the Farm Bill. Thank you very much.